Hello, good Wednesday evening. It's October 2nd. It's my first drive time dialectic of October, and welcome aboard. For those of you that don't know me, I'm TC. I am the host, founder, originator, craft services. I'm not the show producer anymore, by the way. I'm not sole show producer. My Subscribe Star stepped up, and IMAV on Subscribe Star stepped into the gap and hit the top level of support and Subscribe Star, and he is now getting sole show producer credits through Subscribe Star. So, hey, folks, there's not a lot of perks to it other than to say, I know TC, and that should be enough. Honestly, that really should be enough. Like you should be thrilled to say I know TC. But yeah, so here we are for a drive time dialectic. I really hope that you guys will enjoy the show, enjoy my dialectic, my banter as I take myself home from my work day, and like the video, comment on the video, share the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's that little bell icon down there. Once you subscribe, you can hit the bell icon to get notifications. Hey, Vigilance Committee, which one of you is it, by the way? But yeah, you can support me by liking the video, commenting on the video, subscribing to the channel, and if you really like what I do, which of course you should. I mean, who doesn't? Like, right? Boy, if you only knew who doesn't like what I do. You can join as a channel member and help me keep the internet and the electricity on. So, as one of my hate watchers, or not, I guess they aren't really a hate watcher, some guy in a Facebook group. Hey Chad, hi, how you doing? Some guy in a Facebook group, I'm pretty sure it's a sock puppet account. I'm living rent free in his head. It's amazing. I cannot comment on a post without him coming in and making some snide comment, and it's almost always centers around the video where I burned my uniforms at the end of my career with the Olmsted County Sheriff's Office, and dedicated each uniform that I burned to an individual who had violated their oath, or in some way supported someone who violated their oath. And he brings that up, and today someone posted about a trooper that was driving like a madman, like just a complete ass. Hey Jugs, good to see you. Someone reported in the Spotted in Rochester group, like, hey, there's a state trooper along highway, I think it was Highway 52, who is driving like a complete ass, cutting across multiple lanes of traffic, not using, not running code, lights and sirens, wasn't using turn signals, any of that. And he's like, I don't know what to do, because this trooper was like clearly just driving erratically. And a lot of people were like, hey, you need to report it. I made one comment. I said, you need to get dash cams. You need to invest in dash cams. And if you guys haven't yet, please find a way to invest in dash cams. They are great ways to produce content too. They are phenomenal in protecting you and protecting others. And I catch all sorts of public servants, whether they be cops or others, just violating law after law after law, traffic code after traffic code. And just yesterday, last night, I put up a couple of minute video of Rochester Police Department on the very road that I'm on right now. Officer clearly exceeding the speed limit, violating Minnesota State statute, I think it's 169.16, that states that emergency vehicles, if they're not running lights and sirens, must follow the speed limit, and that even running lights and sirens does not allow them or excuse them for driving with due care in the interest of the safety of the public. So all of these people, like this individual in this Spotted in Rochester group, I commented, get dash cam and be aware that Minnesota state statutes do not allow this kind of behavior from state troopers. It, like, literally very clear. If they're responding to an emergency and they're going to be, responding in an emergent way, you have to, here's what you have to do. And people come up with all sorts of excuses about why troopers should be, and law enforcement in general can drive the way they want to drive. It's just terrible. It is. You can show them the law. You can show them the law. But yeah, anyway, this guy. My comment hadn't even been up for 5 minutes. He goes, "Oh, hey, it's the guy that hates cops, who likes to do videos of burning uniforms while he's sitting at the fire by his trailer park by his trailer or something like that." And I'm like, I love those things. I used to get like not argumentative, but I used to argue my point. But I don't care anymore to argue my point because I'm clearly living rent free in his head. And that's how you make change. Somebody had asked, a while ago, how do you? It's okay. Words are hard. It's true. Words are hard, and. But I'll settle for that. But somebody had asked, how do you have an impact on somebody? How do you reach people? And I said, like, sometimes, and some of you have heard this a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes the person you're actually talking to isn't the person you're speaking to. So the conversation you're in may not be having an impact on the person you're conversing with. It might be somebody who's listening off in the distance. And that's what you have to keep in mind. So whether it's in social media or it's face-to-face, whatever the case might be, just remember that somebody might be listening. And Somali Soda. Hey, welcome fellow Somali Soda. I prefer the toy G-Manese. Thanks a lot, BP Slick. Now you got me doing it all over the place. I prefer the phrase I coined in 2020 to describe Walls and what he did with our state. And I refer to it as Marxisota, the People's Republic of Marxisota, or the People's State of Marxisota. But yeah. So you may be having an impact on somebody who you don't even know is listening. And especially if you have a presence, whether you call they just have a presence on a social media platform, and you maybe have a channel like I have here on YouTube. People oftentimes are impacted that you'll never meet, and that's good. Hey, Chris Milky, nice to see you. Thanks for stopping in. So anyway, as you guys know, not only have I been reporting about the Trooper Shane Roper episode here in southeast Minnesota, and that's the trooper who on May 18th did with malice and negligence and lack of compassion or concern for his duties as a oath-taking law enforcement officer in the state, did kill one Olivia Flores. I believe he murdered her. Did kill Olivia Flores, Owatonna, Minnesota, 18 years old, just weeks away from her high school graduation. And as we now know, he's been fired from his job. He is being prosecuted. I do believe that they're working to cut him a deal behind the scenes. And I'm going to continue to cover that. But here just a few weeks ago, there was another trooper involved in yet another accident, and very brief details on that. The trooper was responding to a accident that had just occurred, very minor accident. One of the drivers fled on foot. The trooper reportedly, according to the Minnesota State Patrol, threw on his lights and sirens and began to proceed in an emergent style to the accident, and in the process was involved in another accident. And immediately that day, the Rochester, Minnesota Police Department, headed up by Chief Jim Franklin, announced that they were investigating this accident. Now that's going on 3 weeks, almost. We'll be coming up on a month here pretty soon. But it's been over, I think it's right at 3 weeks now, and we have no comments. Yes, 6 separate tyrannics, absolutely. We've had no comments about where the investigation's at. We don't know the trooper's name. We know nothing at all about the facts of the accident, other than the trooper and one other car were involved. Now, as I've already cited, like I said, I'm pretty sure it's Minnesota State Statute 169.16, says that troopers, law enforcement, even in responding to an accident, have to do due diligence in their response to ensure that they're not putting other people's lives at risk. And that would include clearing intersections, driving in heavy traffic, making sure that their speeds are not aggravated. And when I say aggravated, what I mean by that is not that they're driving angry, obviously, but that they're driving in such a way that they can respond to the emergency without a terrible excess of speed. And that would would save a lot of lives, period. But here we sit weeks later, and we know nothing. And then, as I juxtaposed, probably a little over a week ago now, I juxtaposed another accident that took place in Rochester, where Rochester Police Department officer Mueller lied. Okay, I won't say he lied. Accused the driver who caused the accident of reading a book while they were driving. And it came out after he made this accusation, slandered this individual, smeared this individual on social media to the local news agencies, who ran with that story, who immediately put out this report from Rochester, Minnesota police officer Mueller, that this person was reading and caused this terrible accident by the Chick-fil-A in Rochester. And you guys can bring up Rochester, Minnesota, look for Chick-fil-A Ear of Corn, because that's how Chick-fil-A identifies. They always identify by a landmark. Look for the Rochester, Minnesota Chick-fil-A. Look for the Ear of Corn landmark, as they refer to themselves, and you can see the intersection where this took place. So in less than an hour, Officer Mueller accused the driver of reading, therefore technically driving distracted. They were reading a book, allegedly. And then had to come back and say, oh, it appears this person was having a medical emergency, and that's what caused the accident. No apologies for slandering, no apology for smearing, no apologies for a false accusation. That's Bueller, snarky. You got to get it right. Jiminy's, you guys are not getting your Ferris Bueller days on. But the reason that I bring this up is that we continue to see, and that's why I do these updates, we continue to see that when it comes to investigating themselves, and when I mean themselves, I don't mean, the State Patrol investigating itself, or Rochester Police Department investigating itself, or the Sheriff's Office in Olmsted County investigating itself. I mean, anytime law enforcement investigates any other member of law enforcement, they zip their lips. They release no information at all. None. It doesn't matter what it's about. They shut up, and it's done. And they won't report until people have basically forgotten, and I think that's what they hope for. They really do want us to forget that something happened. And here's the problem with that. It works, quite frankly. Does anybody remember Sonia Massey? When I throw that name out, put a 1 in the chat without looking her up. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember Sonia Massey. Do you remember who I'm talking about? Do you have any idea who I'm talking about? I see two. I see 2 ones. And Sarah, that's not the Vigilance Committee. Yeah, Sarah, that's not a commentary on you. You're a hardworking, woman and a full-time worker and a full-time mom, and like you don't get any breaks. But Sonia Massey is the poor mentally ill woman who was shot, pew-pewed in the cabeza by a deputy in Illinois because she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and he just shot her in cold blood. Like shot her in the head in cold blood. But I haven't heard anybody mention her lately, other than, people who run in the circles that we run in. Hasn't been a peep from the media about Olivia Flores over here in the town where she was murdered. They're like nary a word. They've reported now that, as I released the video last week showing that Judge Daley inadvertently failed to require Trooper Roper to be booked in and get a mugshot inadvertently. But like that story came out last week, and now it's been silent. And part of us, like, we want to shift the blame. We want to look at the media and we want to say, hey, media, you guys got to keep these stories going. You got to keep these stories alive. You got to keep feeding us this information. Look, the media is not going to keep you abreast of what's going on with the state, whether it be the federal state, the state, the county state, the city state, the municipal state, whatever you want to. Like, I'm done calling it the government, because it's not government. Is this a BDSM class? Yes. If you stick around, you will be abused. I guarantee it. But if you are waiting for the media to keep you abreast of the malfeasance that's taking place in your local version of the state, you're going to be sorely disappointed. You're just not going to get that. So you and I, me, us, we, I think I just gave all my pronouns, we have to keep people abreast of this information. We have to keep them made aware, and we have to keep demanding that these stories stay current, that they stay active, that nobody forgets. So mods, that one we can get rid of. Do something about that, mods. AVA, I saw you are in here. Sarah, you're in here. Jugs, you're in here. It isn't government. They are in businesses. Look up what the Constitutional Office is. Yeah, absolutely, Chad. 100% agree. But we have to keep these stories going. Like AVA's in here, a Veterans Affairs Media. Here's a perfect example. Like, AVA has, if you guys haven't subbed to his channel, by the way, you need to. But he's got this story of how he has been abused by the Veterans Administration. Just like Blind Justice, just like the Angry Vet out in Baltimore. we've got all these vets all over the place that are getting abused, and they're finally stepping up. They're defending themselves. They're watching out for themselves. And instead of knuckling under the pressure of being held accountable, they're attacking the veterans. So AVA's got this terrible story of what's happened to him with the Veterans Affairs media, or the Veterans Affairs Administration. So he launches his channel, and he's got a doctor in the Veterans Affairs in the VA medical system cyber stalking him and making false allegations about him being dangerous. Now, if the media actually gave a damn about anybody who has served this country in an honorable way, like 98% of the vets, and if you want to hear me paint with a broad brush, I will do that with veterans. Because the vast majority of veterans, even though they realize early on in their careers that the oath that they swore to defend the Constitution, to protect the Republic from enemies foreign and domestic, even though they realize a lot of these wars are nothing but illegal banker wars that we're fighting for the military-industrial complex and APAC to keep lining their pockets with money, they still honor oaths. They honor their oaths. And so they come flex your freedoms down in Waterloo, Iowa. What the hell's going on in his own country? He just doesn't recognize it. So they go out and they decide to start holding the state accountable. They start holding the local state accountable, the county, the VA, whatever the case might be. Nobody's picking up Angry Vet's story. Nobody's really picking up Blind Justice's story. Nobody's picking up AVA's story. There's no local media that's interested in his story. They're not out there going, hey, this is a really, like, just from a human interest aspect alone, they don't care. They don't care because they're in the pocket of the state. The state funds the media. The state funds it all. And so when we've got a trooper who's involved in another accident in Rochester, Minnesota, the media is not out there asking every day, hey, what's going on? Can you give us more information on this investigation? What can you tell us? They're not even coming out and saying, hey, we're trying to get information for you folks. We're trying to find out what's going on, but they're not telling us anything. Now, are there some like mainstream media outlets that will? To a degree, yes. But for the most part, they're in the pocket of the state. They don't want to be cut off from juicy stories when the time comes, so they knuckle under. So it's on us. It's on you and I. We shouldn't be shocked, right? I know I put shocking in this, but are we shocked, really? Do you guys really think when you saw that title on this video, on this live stream, that TC was really shocked at all? Do you really think? Yes, Vigilance Committee, you let me know when you're going to talk about that. But do you guys really? Most of you have gotten to know I'm not shocked. But hey, Lou, thanks for stopping in. But I'm over here, I'm over it because people they walk around all the time with their heads stuck up their collective philosophical barriers, and then when news does break by somebody like me or Flex or Here's the Deal or the civil rights attorney or Honor Your Oath or on and on and on, anybody that's in here in this chat, and they're just like, where did this come from? How did this happen? Because they don't pay attention. And then it's over. It's gone. There's some outrage and then it's done. And that's not the media's fault. That's our fault. We created that. We demand new information all the time. Don't give us old rehash information. Don't give us updates on that information. Give us new something to be outraged by. Give us something that's going to, cause us to be angry. Something that's going to make us laugh. Something that's going to hit us in the feels. Right? We've grown accustomed to it, and now that's what we demand. So nobody's reporting on this other trooper involved accident in Rochester because they just sit back and they trust. They just trust. And I'm done being that person. I was done with it a long time ago, but now my goal is to hopefully motivate you guys. And I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir. Most of you are already there. You're in that spot already in your own lives personally. Like, you're done. You're not putting up with the crap anymore. But we've got to start having these conversations with people in person, online, the social media, whatever apps, like whatever platforms. Like, we just have to. But we can't hold our noses and sit back anymore. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about as far as this attention span thing. Look, all through 2020, the more rural parts of Minnesota were very upset with our governor, and rightly so. Very upset with Governor Walz. And now many of you are well aware of who Governor Walz is. Most of you had no idea who he was leading up to his selection as VP candidate with Kamala Harris. But many of us were aware, and there was a lot of outrage. But then as the pandemic started to fade, people started to kind of forget. They really kind of like almost ignored everything that Walz did. And they were hoping going into the election in 2022 when we ran a lackluster candidate against Walz and Scott Jensen, who I've had on my show. He was a gubernatorial candidate. I think I had him on last fall. He's a nice guy, genuinely cares about his community, about his state. He's a very intelligent doctor. He came out against the protocols and all of that stuff. He's a phenomenal man. But it was just a lackluster campaign. And everybody thought that the outrage that had been directed at Walz was going to carry the day, and the Republicans are going to sweep into office and they're going to fix all the things that Walz got wrong. And the the exact opposite happened. There was no red wave. There wasn't even a red trickle. It was, and I'm not a vote red until you're dead, vote blue no matter who person. I am firmly ensconced in the camp of libertarian philosophy. So I will be voting principle and ethics over party affiliation for the rest of my life, even if that ends today. But they didn't get what they thought. They thought that outrage that was directed at Walz in 2020 and 2021 was going to carry the red wave ahead, and that we were going to save the state. Never materialized. But then when he was announced as the vice presidential candidate, everybody started rubbing their hands together. They were gleeful, like, this is it. We're going to tear down the Democrats because we are going to be able to expose how terrible all of these people were. Hey, Tav, we were just talking about you, buddy. What's up? I said I wasn't going to do that anymore. Damn it, Tav. Everybody, the angry vet's in the room. Not that the rest of you aren't important, but the angry vet is in the room. Well, you can only apologize for, like, everything else is acceptable, but if you miss my streams because you're on the phone, that's a minimum of a $50 super chat, just so you're aware. I'm an ass. I'm an absolute ass. Oh, this is why people hate me. But everybody in Minnesota was chomping at the bit, and I said, hold on, folks. Don't get too stoked. The heat on Walz is going to die. I mean, we had Tucker Carlson talked to a friend of mine who was thrown in prison by Governor Walz for keeping her business open. Her name is Lisa Hansen. My content with Lisa is on the channel, obviously. I went to battle beside Lisa. Battling with her is one of the reasons why the sheriff turned on me and tried to terminate me. That story is on the channel as well. You guys, Tav, you know that was a joke. You dumbass. I appreciate it, but I can't highlight it because I can't even highlight it right now. Oh gosh, Tav, that was. Oh, thank you. You're amazing. Oh, yeah, there we go. I can't even make a joke without Tav like turning around on me. Thank you, Tav. I should have asked bigger. Should have gone bigger. Like, what the hell? Are you medicated already, Tav? Is that what's going on? But I told everybody, look, what's going on with the news breaking about Governor Walz is not going to last. The media is going to pound on this. The right-wing media especially is going to hound on this. They're going to get all this information out about how terrible he was as a tyrant in Minnesota in 2020 and in 2021 and even into 2022, and then it's going to die. It's going to be over. And then it died. I mean, J.D. Vance had every opportunity on the debate stage last night to bring up Governor Walz's record on C-19 in Minnesota. And nothing at all. And this is why I say the things that I say, in that we cannot, every single voice, I don't care how big the platform is or even how small it is, every single voice, like they're right now, there are, no offense to anybody else's viewing, please hear me right now, there are 3 voices on this channel viewing right now that are foundationally far more important. I'm going to get emotional. Foundationally far more important to the truth being told in our republic today in this channel. One is a vigilance committee. What Cliff and Nikki do is far more important than any news outlet does. Far more important. I will not brook any arguments with you. If you don't agree with me, I don't know that we can even be connected, quite frankly. What they do is far more important than any mainstream outlet does. It far more important than anything that I do. 2 is AVA. And there again, this is not to put down anybody else in the stream. I want you guys to understand how important I view all of you. But what AVA does with his channel, what AVA does with his media, telling his story, is massively more important than anything that I do and anything that any other media outlet does. And the other one is the Angry Vet. Because it's raw and it's real and it's absolutely 100% important, far more important than any mainstream outlet. Because the mainstream outlets do not cover any of the stories that Taft tells, any of the stories that AVA tells, and they will not do what the Vigilance Committee does, which is highlight the people who are in the fight. That is what makes them so important. And there again, that is not to downplay how important the rest of you are. I just want you to understand that. But that's just 3 examples in this chat alone that I would take any of them over any of the mainstream networks. And it's only working together only working together, uniting with all of our differences in personality, with all of our differences in philosophical approach, with all of our differences in maybe even politics. Some of us might be on the left, some might be on the right, some might be right down the center. Some of us might be like, me, paleo libertarian, paleo conservative. All of those differences going to put aside to link up together and fight this and become the real media that we already are. Keeping stories like the one that I started this talking about tonight alive, because they're not going to do it. They just don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about justice. They don't give a shit about transparency. And that's why this is so damn important. And that's really what I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't have news. I don't have news because they won't tell us anything. And that should piss everybody off. That should make every single person that watches this go over, find the phone number to the Rochester, Minnesota Police Department and say, when are you going to release a story? When are you going to tell us the truth about what's happening with that trooper in the accident just a few weeks ago? If he's exonerated, then let's get it over with. Exonerate him. Let us know that he didn't do anything wrong. But the longer you go without telling us what's happening, the more likely we are to believe that there is malfeasance and cover-up going on. And I am sick and tired of it. I'm tired of them covering for themselves, covering for everybody else in the public sector, and throwing the rest of us under the bus, making us pay for the cost of their cover-up. I'm sick of it. And every single person out there who attacks guys like Taft, who attacks guys like Jugs, who attacks AVA, who attacks Blind Justice, who goes after the Vigilance Committee, who goes after anybody who's watching, anybody who does any of this stuff, whether it's Flex or or Sean Reyes or even Chili DeCastro, whoever it is, when you attack them, when you go at them on social media, and by the way, you guys need to be on social media telling your stories, because that's how we start to, that's where I make my impact. And that's where a lot of people make their impact. But everybody needs to be talking about these things, because we all pay the consequences when they cover up. We pay the consequences. They don't. We do. So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. I got back on my workout regimen, so I am going to go in and change in my workout clothes and knock out a few miles tonight. And I'm going to try and pop in at the Vigilance Committee, but I do have a Senate campaign meeting for my friend Rebecca Whiting. If you guys haven't checked her out, if you're in Minnesota and you haven't checked out Rebecca Whiting for U.S. Senate, she's running to take out Amy Klobuchar and keep Royce White out of office. If you're in Minnesota, you definitely need to check her out. And if you're not from Minnesota and you're interested in a person who has a profound and fundamentally important story to tell, listen to Rebecca. Rebecca is a did two tours in combat zones in Iraq. She is a combat decorated medic from the surge in the Sunni Triangle. She's been in the thick of it. She knows what the shit is. And she's a real deal. And I cannot tell you guys. She does not have a YouTube channel, but she does have a Facebook page, Rebecca Whiting for U.S. Senate, the number 4, and she also has a website. And the Libertarian Party of Minnesota has a YouTube channel, and you can find her on there quite a bit. And I'm going to be interviewing her again on my channel. We just had her on with Skipper and I last week on the other podcast that I co-host, which is a Veterans Nation. Tab, I'll link you, and I'll put a link to her her stuff in the description of this video. Friends, stay active, link up with people, get out there on social media. Let's start talking about accountability and being accountability activists in whatever facet that you do that in. It's incredibly important. And remember, every one of you is far more important than anybody who's not doing anything. You're all massively more important than the people who are doing stuff to counter what we talk about. And you're definitely, like, infinitely more important than the mainstream media. Every single one of you. If you like what I'm doing, share it out. If you hit the like button, join the channel if you haven't already. I would love to have, more members. I'm doing more and more member exclusive content. We did a member only live chat on Sunday for my birthday, and I've got a couple of more videos that are going to be members only for a while that are coming out. I just have a lot of stuff going on, and I don't have time to process stuff all the time. That's why I do a lot of live streams like this. Tav, thank you so much for the super chat. And every Tav, my gosh, man. Am I a successful scammer? What are you talking about? I don't. Wow. Tab. Thank you. And guys, I talk about Tab all the time. This is what he does. It's what he does. He does this for a lot of people that are monetized and have memberships. So, and he's looking at going to prison for 40 years. I want you guys to let that sink in. This patriot, this American who served his country in the Coast Guard, is looking at being in prison for the next 40 years of his life because he dared to film his appointment with his doctor at the VA. And this is what he does. He gives these kind of memberships. He should be getting this kind of support from you guys. I haven't lost a wrist nearly what he's risked. So, you're doing it to me, Tav, and I did it to you last week. So, you guys get involved, get active, fight. And I love everybody who watches and who supports. I even love the hate watchers. Yeah, Chad, I will connect you with Tav. Send me an email and I will connect you guys via email. So, my friends, until next time, fight for your freedom is yours. Fight for your liberty. It belongs to you. And until next time, Six Semper Tyrannis.